Good evening. Welcome to the November 11th, 2019 Troy City Council meeting. This evening, we are pleased and honored to have Reverend Donald R. Veltman give the invocation this evening. I'm especially pleased because he's my father-in-law also. So please rise for the invocation and remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. We approach you, O God, this evening as we come to this occasion in which a new mayor and members of Troy City Council are installed into their respective offices of governance. We give you thanks for the richness and diversity of all those whom you have created. By the very act of creating all people in your image, you intend that diversity and differences are meant to be a reflection of your will and glory. Given the divine worth of each individual and the collective value of the people of this city, Troy, Michigan, may those who serve as mayor and members of the Troy City Council perceive their governing to be a sacred trust with their divine appointed role as servants to its citizens. As we pray on their behalf, we pray that you would deliver them from selfish considerations. As the God of love and mercy, justice and righteousness, fill each of them with your Spirit, that each may be fearless to seek, to know, and do the right. Instill within them a broader vision of the needs of all mankind, especially the citizens of this city, and give them a deeper compassion to fill those needs. May it be said of the mayor and each city council member that they desire in the spiritual wisdom manifest centuries ago to do good, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. For only then can we be blessed and be a blessing to others. All these things we ask in that name above all names, that name before whom all people and nations of earth shall bow, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a quick note for housekeeping purposes, we are going to do the oaths of office for the newly elected members, and then we're going to take care of a couple items on the agenda, and then we will take a break, allow for some pictures, and if anyone doesn't want to stay, they're free to leave at that point. So, but we will get through a couple of things first. So, Madam Clerk.
According to the best of my ability, so help me God. I do. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, the Charter of the City of Troy, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of City Council Member in and for the City of Troy, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Amen. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution the office of City Council Member in and for the City of Troy, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. I do. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, the Charter of the City of Troy, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Mayor in and for the City of Troy, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Okay, the November 11th, 2019 Troy City Council meeting is now called to order. The roll call, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Here.
Councilmember Abraham?
Here.
Councilmember Brooks?
Here.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Here.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Here.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Here.
Councilmember Pennington?
Here.
All present. We have several items listed under B, the 2019 to 2020 City Council installation part of the agenda, and we will begin with the adoption of the City Council Rules of Procedure. Someone like to move that motion? Councilman Hamilton.
And resolved that Troy City Council hereby adopts the rules of procedure of the City Council of the City of Troy as recorded by the City Clerk in the minutes of this meeting.
Support.
Moved by Councilman Hamilton, supported by Councilwoman Abraham for the adoption of City Council Rules of Procedure. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon?
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Motion carries. Subsection B is the appointment of Mayor Pro Tem. Anyone like to move that resolution? I'll move it. Resolved that the Troy City Council hereby appoints David Hamilton to serve as Mayor Pro Tem for the City Council of the City of Troy for a term scheduled to expire at 7:30 p.m. on Monday, November 9th, 2020.
Support.
Moved by the chair, supported by Councilwoman Hoderick, that we appoint David Hamilton to serve as Mayor Pro Tem as printed. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes, motion carries. This time we will swear in the Mayor Pro Tem.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, the Charter of the City of Troy, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Mayor Pro Tem in and for the City of Troy, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. I do.
As I previously mentioned, we're going to recess for 10, 15 minutes or so for any pictures that anyone wants to take. And if you don't care to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're free to go also, although it's going to be a great meeting. So I want to understand. So we're in recess. is called back to order. Next on the agenda is subsection D, adoption of Code of Ethics for City Council. Someone like to move the resolution? Councilwoman Erickson Galt.
Resolved that Troy City Council hereby adopts the proposed revised Code of Ethics of the City Council of the City of Troy as recorded by the city clerk in the minutes of this meeting.
Support.
Moved by Councilwoman Erickson Galt, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton, that we adopt the proposed revised Code of Ethics of the City Council of the City of Troy as recorded by the city clerk in the minutes of this meeting. Any discussion? Councilwoman Abraham.
Thank you, Mayor. While I'm pleased to see the revisions that are in the Code of Ethics, I think there's at least a desire on my part to see a little bit more teeth in the Code of Ethics, maybe a little bit more specificity. And I know with some of the questions I had submitted about the agenda prior, there was a suggestion that perhaps we would have, or we could have a study session as a body to explore options. And what I wanted to ask is if there was any consensus or any interest in doing so in the near future.
Yes.
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 I think you have consensus from us to schedule a study session and work towards adding something with more teeth.
Happy to provide some different alternatives to you, and then it would be brought back afterwards after there's consensus on which way to proceed.
Councilwoman Hoderick.
One of the things that we're a little bit aware of is the ethics training that's gone. We know that there's ethics training that was planned for and I believe conducted with city staff and the police department and whatnot. Maybe for the public at large to understand what's already been done from the ethics side of the house would be helpful. I'm wondering if the city manager would be willing to comment on that.
Yes, we did provide ethics training in a couple different levels for city staff. We also have joined an organization, Bob. What's the name of the organization? I forget.
ECI.
ECI, and it's actually mostly private sector people that belong to this organization, but we're looking at utilizing them to do much better training for our staff. We also been in contact with ICMA, the International City County Management Association, to see if they had any experience with working with communities who have gone through what we've gone through. And we'll continue to develop that, and we'll report to council as we do more training.
That's good. I appreciate it. I think we all want to make sure that the community understands that we do take this seriously. We've been working on it already. Ethics training isn't one time and it sticks with you. It is something that needs to be repeated and discussed, and we've learned that we need to do that. And I appreciate the commitment of staff already. This is a highly ethical staff to begin with, and I think as we continue to work through this, we adopt this tonight, but we're going to remain committed to really massaging it more. We've heard the community, and we will take it very seriously and act accordingly.
Any other comments? Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton.
Yes, I would just say that there are some provisions in our charter for ethics, and I think maybe part of it could be if there's certain things we have to do to the charter regarding that, and maybe it goes with the general discussion about revising the charter, which is one of our 10 things we have for the year. So I think that might be part of what we look at.
City Attorney Bloom.
Mayor, I just wanted to point out that unfortunately there was one typographical error, so hopefully there's permission and consent to allow us to substitute that for than. It's a minor change, but I just wanted to make sure that that was clear on the record.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll just add that, we certainly have been talking about this for several months, if not longer at this point, and this does actually add some teeth, and it clears up a little bit some of the misunderstandings we had prior. We had an ethics policy that laid out what we can't do as city council members, but it never said what to do if there is a perceived violation or what steps should be taken if there's questions about that. So this does add that language for now, which is a good temporary measure until we could do something more comprehensive. I understand. The vote, Ms. Dixon?
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Motion carries. Subsection E is the adoption of code of ethics for boards and committees. Councilwoman Erickson Galt?
Resolved that Troy City Council hereby adopts the proposed revised Code of Ethics for boards and committees as recorded by the city clerk in the minutes of this meeting.
Support.
Moved by Councilwoman Erickson Galt and supported by Councilman Pennington that the Troy City Council hereby adopts the proposed revised code of ethics for boards and committees as recorded by the city clerk in the minutes of this meeting. Any discussion? I guess I will say I'm assuming that if we're revising the city council policy as well, we should be looking at the boards and committees. It's a little bit different, obviously, but I think it's worth, if there's consensus, to take a look at that as well, just to make sure we're doing everything we can. The vote, Ms. Dixon?
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Motion carries. Councilman Pennington.
Mayor, I'd like to pull B2F from this agenda until the next meeting.
Okay. There's nothing procedurally we need to do other than that, correct?
If there's a consensus, then it's fine.
Is there consensus? Very good. All right, subsection G, Cooperative Purchasing Programs Resolution. Councilman Hoderick?
I will move the resolution as printed, subsection G as printed. I don't believe I need to read that whole thing into the record, right? Okay.
Support.
Moved by Councilman Hoderick, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton, that we approve subsection G, Cooperative Purchasing Programs Resolution as printed. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Motion carries. That concludes our section B. We move on to subsection C, which is certificates of recognition and special presentations. C1 this evening is a legislative update by Congresswoman Haley Stevens. Congresswoman? Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for making it out tonight. It's been a rough drive, I bet.
Yeah, well, what a joy to be with you all here on this memorable and snowy Monday evening in Troy, Michigan, where we assemble a new government and welcome a new mayor and new city council members and city council members returning. This is certainly an exciting day in Troy, and you could tell, as evidenced by the packed hall that we had here while individuals were being sworn in, and we're truly so proud of all of you. I stick by the saying, if you really want to get something done in elected office, run locally. Run for mayor, run for city council, and own the responsibility and the stewardship of the community in which you live in. Some of my fondest memories are in Troy. My father and my stepmother live in the Sylvan Glen neighborhood. When I was campaigning for Congress, had some fabulous stories and run-ins in Troy. And as I think about the member of Congress from Michigan's 11th district, and as I think about Troy and what Troy represents, it's one of the larger cities in the district. It's a booming city. It is home to tremendous innovation and tremendous businesses. And I'll never forget being up at the Starbucks at Crooks and Big Beaver and trying to talk to people. Like, I'm running for Congress, and I want to engage you. And I was making all these different connections, and then I kept running into people who weren't from Michigan, but they were here for business. because opportunity for them was knocking here. And this is some of the quiet hummings of economic development and innovation that take place in our incredible community. As a veteran of the auto industry and manufacturing, and one of the things that I'm looking to champion and have championed in Congress and really take a profound responsibility in terms of my representation for all of you, which is that I represent the country's largest and most robust collection of automotive suppliers. And so I do what I call Manufacturing Monday. I go and I see the businesses, the apprenticeships, the training centers, our fabulous schools. We know we have many of those here in Troy. And I take that back to Washington, and I take that responsibility back to Washington. But we also remember that times weren't always great here. That when this country was in the middle of a recession, we really represented in Michigan the nadir of that great recession. The largest drop in automotive sales in the history of the automobile. It wasn't for sale signs in front of people's homes. It was foreclosure signs. And yet, we rebounded. And today we have an incredible new story to tell America. And it's why there are so many people in the Starbucks who don't live in Troy but are here doing business with the companies that are located here. And I also know that the plight to good economic development rests on the shoulders of all of you. The work that you're going to do in terms of infrastructure and ethics and management with our other community stakeholders. And I want to let you all know that you always have a friend and champion in me, and I want to take that call from you. I want to work alongside you. It's one of the reasons why I vied for 2 critical positions in the Congress. One is an appointment on the House Education and Labor Committee, where we've done some great things to revitalize our middle class, supporting and passing pension reform, as well as reauthorizing the higher education bill, and also protecting health care for individuals. The other committee assignment that I have is on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee, and I want to make sure all of you know this, because that's a really unique opportunity for us in Michigan. Mentioning the great innovation that we have here, we've got 2-to-1 patents in autonomous vehicle technology in southeastern Michigan, 75% of the R&D. The question of the future, what's the moonshot of the next 50 years, is what all of us know is what is happening here in Michigan, in southeastern Michigan, in places like Troy with electric vehicle technology. And I have the profound privilege of serving as the subcommittee chair of the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee on Research and Technology, with direct oversight of the National Institute of Standards and Technologies, as well as the National Science Foundation. Now, the National Science Foundation is a grant-making entity. Millions and millions of dollars from the National Science Foundation pour into Michigan and into our universities. And so I share that with all of you here tonight, because I would be remiss if the Troy City Council or any of our nonprofit or community stakeholder groups were looking at federal grant opportunities and not contacting my office. We want to work alongside you all on that. Our great police department here, our great fire department here. We know we have a best-in-class workforce, and we want to support you with the grants that go into that, as well as some of the other initiatives. For instance, the Building Blocks of STEM Act, which I got passed through the House, and I am very confident is going to pass through the Senate, supporting early childhood education. We know that's so important here in Troy. We know our great public schools rely on supportive dollars to educate through continual opportunities the next generation of scientists, of engineers, of mathematicians, of technologists. I even tell our bankers they're part of that that STEM initiative. And so tuck that away for me, as well as know that I have conducted an analysis of our federal grants that our district has received. And we know that we are a little overlooked on occasion here in Michigan's 11th district. Maybe it's because we're so self-sufficient. Maybe it's because we're not always the first to put up our hands, but it's truly unacceptable when we have $200 million of infrastructure funding through build grants that that come from the Department of Transportation, and yet aren't making their way to our district when we know we need those roadway improvements, and we already have seen some of that going on here, obviously supported by the state. But I want to make sure that we are in line to get our fair share of federal funding, and I want to make sure, Mr. Mayor, that this community continues to shine and that the world knows who and what we are made of here in Troy, Michigan. So that is also why today, and I think this is a recognition to every single one of you who have stepped up to serve this incredible community, that I am here today to bestow to you a flag flown over the United States Capitol in honor of Troy, and how fitting to be able to present this to you, Mr. Mayor, on your first day, your first official sworn-in day in office. And can I just say, too, that I only wish Congress could function as effectively and efficiently. You know, we've already passed a couple of things. We've paused to take a nice, healthy recess, and now we're back at it. So I will also take that lesson back to Washington, and certainly look forward to working with you in the days, months, and years to come. So thank you so much, and congratulations to each and every one of you. We are all so proud of you, and most especially me. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Some hard ones? Thank you, Congresswoman. Appreciate it. That's all we have for Section C. We move on to Section D, which is carryover items. There are none. Section E, public hearings, there are none, which takes us to Section F, public comment for items on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. We have one person signed up this evening, Mr. Aaron Green. You know the rules.
Hi, my name is Aaron Green. Hello, Council and Mr. Mayor. Congratulations on your recent election or re-election or new positions and new appointments. And to those who have not, welcome back. Thank you so much. I hope this is an excellent session. Have a good evening.
Thank you. That concludes those that have signed up. Next on the agenda is Section G, which is City Council, City Administration response and reply to public comment. I'm going to go ahead and start and say thank you, Aaron, for being here and for saying those kind words, and for all of you who are here and who said many nice comments before the meeting and during our break. It's really, really nice to have such warm people here and giving us a friendly welcome this evening. And thank you for coming out on this snowy night on top of it. Any other comments? All right, Section H is postponed items. There are none. So we'll move on to Section I, regular business, board and committee appointments. There are some mayoral appointments this evening that were nominated by Mayor Slater at the last meeting. I will move those appointments into the record too. To the Global Troy Advisory Committee, I'd like to nominate or appoint Caitlin Howe as the student representative for the term expiring July 31st, 2020. Mavita Burris for the term expiring October 30th, 2022. Daniela Nacheva for the term expiring October 30th, 2021. And Yudong Shu for the term expiring October 30th, 2021.
Support.
Moved by the chair, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton, that we appoint Caitlin Howe as the student representative, Mavita Burris, Daniela Nacheva, and Yudong Shu to the Global Troy Advisory Committee for the terms stated. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Motion carries. To the Local Development Finance Authority, LDFA, like to move to appoint Paul Hoff for the term expiring June 30th, 2023, and Nick Vitale for the term expiring June 30th, 2023.
Support.
Moved by the chair, supported by Councilwoman Abraham, that we appoint Paul Hoff and Nick Vitale to the LDFA for the terms expiring June 30th, 2023. Any discussion? Vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Pennington,
Yes.
Mayor Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick.
Yes.
That concludes the mayoral appointments. We move to city council appointments. Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor. For the Animal Control Appeal Board, I would like to appoint Patrick Carolyn for the term expiring September 30th, 2022. And for the Parks and Recreation Board, I would like to appoint Kristen Franklin for the term expiring September 30th, 2022.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton, supported by Councilman Pennington, that we appoint Patrick Carolyn to the Animal Control Appeal Board for the term expiring September 30th, 2022, and to the Parks and Recreation Board, Kristen Franklin, for the term expiring September 30th, 2022. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick,
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington.
Yes.
Motion carries. That concludes city council appointments. We now move on to I2, board and committee nominations. There are no mayoral nominations this evening, and there are no city council nominations this evening either. I3, there's no request for a closed session, so we move on to I4, 2020 city council meeting schedule, to be introduced by City Manager Miller.
Yes, we took a real solid effort to identify all possible holidays and proposed this schedule for your approval.
Any questions from council? Councilman Pennington.
No questions. I'd just like to move I4, the 2020 City Council meeting schedule as printed.
Support.
Moved by Councilman Pennington, supported by Councilwoman Abraham, that we approve I4 2020 City Council meeting schedule as printed. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Abraham,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick,
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington,
Yes.
Mayor Baker.
Yes. Motion carries. Next up is the consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull a consent item this evening? Councilwoman Abraham.
I'd like to move all items on the consent agenda as printed.
Support.
Moved by Councilwoman Abraham and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton, that we approve all items on the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick,
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington,
Yes.
Mayor Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham.
Yes.
Motion carries. If you're here on a consent agenda item, they've all been passed this evening. Thank you. Section K is the memorandums and future council agenda items. K1, announcement of public hearings. There's one to announce November 25th, 2019 is the Community Development Block Grant CDBG 2020 funds. That'll be our next meeting. And K2, memorandums, there's a proposed new municipal separate storm sewer system ordinance. City Attorney Bloom.
Yes, Mayor, just wanted to ask if council members do have any suggestions on revising that. Please let us know as soon as possible. Absent that, we will be bringing it back for action at the next city council meeting.
Thank you. I don't see that there's anybody signed up for public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses, so there's no need for city council or city administration to reply. There are no council referrals this evening, so we move on to council comments. If it's okay, may I start?
Go ahead. You're the mayor.
Thank you. Well, I'm very happy to be here as your mayor tonight, obviously. That just goes without saying, but I do want to say we definitely have a different looking and a new council up here, and we met before this to do our official portrait as a group, and we were all smiles and had a lot of fun, so I think we're going to have a good path moving forward, and I'm very pleased to have each and every one of you up here with us, and I know that we've gone through a lot as a city, and we'll continue to go through things as they come, but I know that we're all committed to moving forward in a healthy and positive way and working together, and having differences sometimes, but working them on the right way to make them happen. I did want to say, the last meeting 3 weeks ago, Councilman Henderson and I were both up here, and one of us knew that we weren't going to be at this meeting. Well, we didn't know. Neither of us knew which one wouldn't be at this meeting, but one of us isn't. And we had our chance to say goodbye to Mayor Slater and say a few things. And I just wanted to say for Councilman Henderson, who served for 8 years on this council, he served very hard up here. And I was thinking about the things that he did while he was up here. And not everyone agrees with all the decisions we make, but I will say that Dave Henderson worked really hard to be a good advocate on behalf of the community. Many times he was often the first person to request more information from city management. He was quick to respond to people. I can't tell you how many times I'd get an email from a resident and I'd forward it on to the city manager or city attorney, and it was too late because Councilman Henderson had already done it. He really was great at that communication. And we've shared a lot of good times up here from this table and behind the scenes, and I will say that he served our community well for 8 years. 8 years is a long time to give as a public servant. We don't all agree on everything, like I said, but it takes a certain kind of person to spend that much time up here. And I commend Councilman Henderson for the work he gave to the city. He's got family in this city. He's got his grandkids who are in our schools, and I want them to remember what a great grandpa they have and all the work he gave on behalf of the city. And so I thank Dave Henderson, and I wish him well, and Kelly as well. So thank you. Hamilton.
Thank you. Just congratulations to you, Mayor Baker. Congratulations to Council Members Brooke and Erickson. Welcome, and welcome. And congratulations for your reelection too, Councilman Baker.
Councilwoman Hoderick.
I would like to echo your comments. Councilman Henderson, behind the scenes, was always very quick to take care of resident concerns. And, one of the positives of an era that we've been through was a refocus on that kind of customer service focus. There's rules that our city staff and council members have to follow sometimes when a resident has a concern, and it can sometimes seem like we're not hearing you or we're not taking care of it right away, but there's processes and rules we have to follow. That sincere engagement in wanting to reach out to people and help them if they're having an issue is one we need to take with us into this. It's a new council. We're turning a page, but let's not lose that history. And Councilman Henderson was very, very good about that. There are people in the community who disagreed with him sometimes on votes, but who recognized that about his service in his 8 years here. And I appreciate you taking the time to acknowledge it. And I wanted to say, yes, that's very true, what went on behind the scenes, and how quick he was to help people. And we should commit to him, after 8 years of doing that we will continue and build upon that legacy. It's an important thing to do.
Councilman Pennington.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 things, and I'd like to congratulate you and the new councilwomen to the table. Congratulations. I always said the hardest thing about this job is getting elected, so especially bruising election season, you did well. Congratulations. Second thing is this was the first. So I just became a grandpa, not just, but I became a grandpa a year and a half ago. But everything's brand new when you're a grandpa. And we went to the Halloween trunk or treat that the police department put on. And I'd never been to that before because, the kids are older, and so you're not into Halloween anymore. And we had a riot. I mean, Grant loved it. He was running around. It was raining that night, but it was still such a good time. And like 4,000 or 5,000 people came out. It was such a hit. So I want to congratulate the volunteers that were there, the city volunteers that were there, and the police department. So you've got a fan for the years to come. And third thing, it is Veterans Day, and I just want to point out, thank you for all the veterans for your service. I know there's many veterans on the staff in City of Troy, and many more in the police department. I heard from Mike Kerr today, and Mike is a champion for the City of Troy. He's a Vietnam veteran. He's a leader. He's in the police department in Troy for 25, 30 years, and just a great guy. And he continues to serve the city of Troy. So I want to shout out to Mike. Just, fantastic individual. If you don't know Mike, it's your loss, because I've known him. He used to feed. We used to have Great Danes at the shop, and he would come by the shop and feed the dogs for us in the middle of the night, because the dogs would stay there all night. And a special shout out to another veteran, Kyle Pennington. He just got back from the Navy. He's been back for 6 months, and thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Councilman Erickson Gall.
Yes. I just wanted to say I got to participate in the Veterans Day ceremony this morning. I'm glad you brought that up. And I wanted to say how wonderful it was, how moving. I have veterans in my family, including some from the greatest generation, which we are rapidly losing. And so it's just a wonderful opportunity. I got to meet a veteran that Council Member Hoderick introduced me to, who was part of that greatest generation. And it's just so incredibly important to remember the sacrifice that they made. And it was a wonderful ceremony this morning. And then one other item I wanted to make sure everybody knows that our state representative, Padma Kupa, who wanted to be with us tonight but couldn't be in 2 places at one time. So she is having a town hall tomorrow, Tuesday, November 12th, at 6:30 p.m. at Walsh Hall, and the topic is energy in the environment. And that is an issue. The environment as issue is very important to me, and I encourage you all to attend. Some of the issues that will be addressed is how to make your home more energy efficient, or other things that we can do more on a broader scale to decrease our environmental footprint. And it's something I hope to see happen here in Troy as well. So thank you.
Yes, sure, yeah, thank you. Yes, I would also like to echo Happy Veterans Day to everybody. It is, attending the service this morning was absolutely beautiful, and honoring our veterans and those who serve, those who continue to serve, those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for this country. We appreciate all of you. And I'm excited to be here and have all these warm, wonderful faces, everyone who braved the cold and the snow to be here tonight. And I hope it could stay like this for 4 years, but we'll see. I don't know. And I'm excited to serve with this wonderful group of people. I think we will work hard to get things done for the city, and really work hard to represent the city well. And be patient with me because I'm still learning, and so I'm excited to be here, though.
Councilwoman Abraham.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to extend my congratulations to you, to Ann, to Teresa. Campaigns are not easy things, and I think we can all collectively say we're so thrilled that it's all over, and we're even more thrilled to just roll up our sleeves and get to business. I think, sure, it's our first day here. We're just getting to know each other and learning how to act as a body together, because each council has its own character and characteristics. But I feel like we will have a lot of collegial respect and a lot of fun, too. During their official portrait taking, we were having more than our share of fun, I should say. I do want to take a moment to recognize Dave Henderson as well. 8 years on council is a really long time. You can't please everyone, and you have to work to represent people that you may not agree with. And Dave, I think, did a really, really good job of reaching out to people, responding to people, ones that he may not have agreed with, but nonetheless wanted to understand. And I want to recognize his efforts. 8 years is a really long time, and 3 campaigns is a lot of campaigning, and it's exhausting. So I wish Dave very well. I wish Kelly very well, because it wasn't just Dave that, while he was the face that you saw up here, Kelly has also put in a lot of hard work to support him and support the community, and their efforts will be missed, and hopefully we will still see them out and about in the community.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton.
Thank you, and I just want to reiterate that thank you to Councilmember Henderson for his 8 years of service and to Mayor Slater for their 10 years of service. And it says a lot, because when they were both elected to council, they actually saw each other kind of as on different sides of many issues, and over the years they became close friends, and it kind of shows you how we can resolve our differences when we work at it. And I'm really going to try to do that and learn from that in the future. So thank you for their 8 and 10 years of service.
Councilwoman Hoderick.
Just thrilled to be here with everybody, and thrilled with the staff that we have in place. I know we can work together constructively, and I know we will. This is such a great community, and you can see it in the faces of the people who showed up tonight through the snow, and we really do appreciate it. It's a very affirming and positive feeling to have that support. We're in it all together. We're not any better. We're just your neighbors that volunteered to put ourselves up here and make decisions on policies, working with a very highly qualified staff. And if we can get to that place where we are working, even if we disagree, without being disagreeable, through the norms, through the processes, through the rules of governance, this city is just amazing, and we're gonna leave a really wonderful legacy, and that's our challenge collectively, to do it together. We have a sleeping baby in front of us. I don't know if the camera can pick that all up. Young children. That's what this is all about. The Veterans Day ceremony today was beautiful. Many people who work in municipalities are veterans, and many of our employees are. I know many of them missed a luncheon today because they were out plowing the snow or dealing with extra police work, and just public servants at heart, serving the country, serving their local communities, and it is tremendous to honor them today. On that same topic of snow removal, we did have an update that the plows will get into our local roads. It's the term, I think as residents we call it our neighborhoods, but the term from the city is local roads, starting at midnight. And it takes 24 hours. It's a lot of miles of roads. If the tracker will be working again that we've had in the past couple years, if you're wanting to see when your neighborhood will be plowed or what neighborhoods they're already in, you can look to that tracker online. Slow down, be careful. Be careful going home from here tonight and even in the morning as we work on the roads. And many thanks to the DPW for jumping in on this first snow event. So first snow event, new city council, Veterans Day. I think we all should take a moment to be grateful to our city staff today, and we thank you for everything you're doing.
Very nice things said by everybody, important things. The Veterans Day ceremony today was, it was inside, which doesn't happen often, but it was actually kind of nice to be inside, so city staff, if you would think about that in the future. But the Brigadier General who spoke, he gave, really some jarring statistics about suicide among veterans. I think the number was 17 per day are losing their lives to suicide, which is, I can't do the math, I think 6,200 per year. And most of them are 18 to 34 years old. So we must do something to help out where we can and be aware of it, because it's a very serious issue and something that could affect any one of us at any time. He spoke about also the sacrifices made and how for every veteran that comes home, there's usually one that doesn't come home. So Kyle, we welcome you back. We're glad you're here safely, and I know your dad is as well, but all the veterans in our community, and we do thank you, and we owe you more than we can say. It's often said, freedom is only one generation away from extinction, and we have you veterans to thank for keeping us free and having our freedom, so thank you for that. Finally, one last thing about the campaigns, and Councilwoman Abraham mentioned it a little bit about Kelly Henderson, but all of us have spouses or significant others or family members who were just as instrumental into our campaigns, whether it was this last week or 2 years ago. Teresa, your family's here still, and they're still here, which is something to say for you. But I know, Tavon, you worked very hard behind the scenes, and you're sitting out there, and she's up here smiling, and I just want to recognize you for all the hard work that you did and know that it's not easy. And I know that because Bethany is here with my kids, and it's a family affair, these campaigns. And it really is a testament to everybody. And I want to make sure, Bethany, you're properly recognized, and you kids, and Tavon. And I know Tom was here earlier, and he had to go, and I know your family's here and others as well. So we thank all of you. We know that without you, we wouldn't be up here. And I just want to make sure the city understands that as well, because it's definitely a family affair on all of these. So any other council comments? Okay, so we move on to P, which is the report section. Does anybody have any comments on any of the reports this evening? Don't see any. All right, which takes us to Q, which will soon be obsolete from our rules because we just updated the rules, but there's nobody signed up for a comment on or not on the agenda for members of the public outside of Troy. So there's no response required under R, and there's no closed session this evening. So with that, we are adjourned. Drive safely.